Calcio storico is one of the oldest ancestors of modern football and rugby, and it's still played today in its original form. If you've never heard of it, imagine a sport that blends soccer, rugby, and wrestling, played in 50-minute matches on sand pitches with 54 players on the field at once. And the craziest part? The rules allow punches, tackles, and full-on brawls, all in a no-subs battle for neighbourhood pride in the city that created it, Florence. It's most certainly not for the faint-hearted. So after a career in international rugby, why does one of Italy's stars already have his eyes set on playing Calcio storico once he retires from the international stage? Well, let's get into it. I'm Nikki Anderson, and this is Legacy Spotlight, where we tell sports stories that matter. So what is this elusive medieval sport we're talking about today? Well, Calcio storico, translated, is quite literally historic football, and it has been a cornerstone of Florentine culture for over 500 years. Its roots go back to the Renaissance, when it was played by aristocrats and townspeople alike. Today, the game is still played in its original form every year in Piazza Santa Croce, the heart of Florence, with 4 teams representing the city's historic districts: Santa Croce, Santo Spirito, Santa Maria Novella, and San Giovanni. Each team is represented by a different colour, but they're bare-chested. Their colours are represented on their brightly coloured pantaloons, which look like something straight out of Renaissance Italy. The event includes elaborate parades through the city, with flag bearers, drummers, and people in historical Renaissance costumes. It's as much a festival as it is a sport. Each game lasts 50 minutes and is played on a sand-covered pitch measuring about 100 metres long and 50 metres wide, a little smaller than your average football pitch. But in Calcio storico, there are 27 players on each team, all on the field at the same time. That's 54 men battling simultaneously for one ball. And the goal is deceptively simple: throw the ball in your opponent's net at the opposite end of the pitch. But the methods of doing so are anything but simple. This is where it gets crazy. The 54 players can use hands, feet, tackles, and wrestling moves, and the rules explicitly allow full-scale brawls. You might think with those rules there might be some rolling substitutions. Any substitutions. But no, none are allowed. Injuries and exhaustion are just part of the game's brutal beauty. As you can imagine, the matches are chaotic, intense, and wildly unpredictable. It's a spectacle where strategy, brute strength, and sheer courage all collide in the name of tradition, pride, and neighbourhood rivalry. Now don't be fooled. It's neighbourhood rivalry that can result in serious injury. No one has ever died during a modern Calcio storico match. However, there have been mass casualties. In 2007, a massive brawl involving around 50 players led to police intervention and even a 1-year ban on the event. Then in 2014, a semi-final was cancelled after a player assaulted a referee. And 1 year, someone was hospitalised to have his spleen removed. Even if there aren't initial injuries, our growing awareness of CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a progressive brain disease caused by repeated head impacts, has put rugby and Calcio storico under the spotlight. CTE can only be fully diagnosed after death, but its devastating effects, such as memory loss, confusion, mood changes, depression, and much more, can't be ignored. It's a harsh reality and a stark example of when history and heritage collides with new knowledge. Calcio storico is more than just a game. It's a living piece of Florence's history. And the crowd's energy is unlike anything in modern sport, with thousands of locals cheering, jeering, and sometimes even throwing themselves into the action from the sidelines. Winning isn't about trophies or money. There is no prize money. In fact, the winning team simply receives a cow, or more specifically, a Chianina cow with gold-plated horns. The prize is much bigger than anything tangible. It's about honour, heritage, and city pride. So what does this have to do with Niccolò Cannone? Well, he began his rugby journey in his hometown Florence, a city which has always had a strong rugby tradition. Maybe you can see where this is going. He started playing at a young age, progressing through local youth teams before catching the attention of professional scouts. Niccolo's dedication and natural physicality quickly stood out, and he eventually joined Petrarca Rugby, where he began his senior club career. His performances there showcased a unique combination of strength, endurance, and tactical awareness, which led to a move to Benetton Rugby, one of Italy's top professional clubs competing in the United Rugby Championship. Niccolò plays as a lock, a key position in the forward pack of a rugby team. On the field, the lock is crucial in the lineouts, where they lift or jump to secure possession, as well as in scrums and rocks, where they provide power and stability. Locks also carry the ball in tight contact and make tackles, making them vital to both offense and defense. Niccolo's mix of size, agility, and rugby intelligence made him perfect for this physically demanding role, and the Italian rugby team noticed. In 2020, Niccolò was named in Italy coach Franco Smith's Six Nations squad. At the next Six Nations the following year, at the age of just 21, Niccolò made his international debut. Since then, he has become a regular for the national team, part of a crop of youngsters that gave Italian rugby one of its best years in living memory in 2022, and 2 consecutive 5th place finishes in the Six Nations. Niccolò himself has become known for his relentless work ethic and reliability in set pieces, not to mention his ability to inspire teammates. Today, at the age of 27, he's considered one of Italy's most important rugby players. So why would Niccolò Cannone want to play this brutal game after retiring from rugby? Well, for Niccolò, it's deeply personal. He's supported the Rossies, one of the 4 teams in Calcio Storico, since he was just 10 years old. Growing up in Florence, Calcio Storico was part of his life. So naturally, he said that maybe one day, after rugby, he'd like the chance to represent his team, his neighbourhood, in the Piazza Santa Croce. In an interview with Rugby Pass, Niccolò was asked what a rugby player like him could bring to Calcio Storico. He said, "I think my skills one day will carry," before jokingly adding that he'll have to learn some boxing too. "You have to defend yourself, obviously," he said. For Niccolò, he adores everything about Calcio Storico. He grew up alongside many of the players who now wear the Rossi colours. And when he talks about the matchday atmosphere, it's clear how much he loves it. He's admitted that he cries every time he watches Calcio Storico, overwhelmed by the colours, the noise, the language of the crowd, and the intensity inside the piazza. Despite the brutal physicality, Cannone believes the real challenge lies within. In his view, the most important part of preparing for Calcio Storico is your mentality. In the same interview with Rugby Pass, Niccolò said, "If you see the eyes of the boys, you can feel the energy. They're ready to explode." At first glance, the idea of a professional rugby player stepping into the chaos of Calcio Storico might seem far-fetched or even slightly reckless. Calcio Storico isn't just rugby without rules, it's a fight without rules. Even seasoned calcio athletes can get seriously injured. But Niccolò does have some unique advantages. As an international level rugby lock, he has the strength, endurance, and pain tolerance needed for extreme contact. And he has the mental toughness, honed on the greatest rugby pitches in the world. Still, stepping into the piazza would mean throwing himself in the same conversation as legends of the sport. Calcio Storico players aren't celebrities or people who have large Instagram followings. They're bakers, teachers, and tradesmen. But in Florence, they're all household names. They're men who have survived multiple matches, mastered the chaos, and become local icons. Cannone's rugby skills give him a head start. He's a full-time professional athlete, but he'd be up against athletes and fighters who have lived and breathed this sport their entire lives. So for Niccolò, it's not impossible, but it would demand serious adaptation and a whole lot of courage. And now you're probably wondering why it would even matter. Well, if Cannone were to step into Piazza Santa Croce, the impact would be enormous. For Calcio Storico itself, it would shine a global spotlight on one of Florence's oldest traditions, showing the world their centuries-old game. And on a smaller level, for rugby and modern athletes, it would serve as a reminder of the true roots of contact sport: raw, community-driven, and fueled by pride. For Cannone personally, it would be his time to participate in a sport which wouldn't just be about trophies or contracts, but about representing his home, his colour, and his city. It would be a chance to express identity and courage in a way that elite professional rugby rarely allows. For fans, it would blur the line between professional athleticism and cultural tradition. For others, it could draw even more attention to the dangers of the sport. But if Cannone ever enters the Piazza, it won't just be a crossover moment. It would be a statement of identity, courage, and the enduring power of sport at its most primal. And that's the story of Niccolò Cannone and his dream of stepping into the chaos of Calcio Storico. But now we want to hear from you. What do you think? Firstly, about the amazing centuries-old sport of Calcio Storico itself. And secondly, what about the idea of an international rugby player possibly stepping into the Piazza? Do you wish it was televised? Is it now on your sporting bucket list? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe, send it to your mates, and stick around as we continue to make Legacy the home for sports stories that matter. I'm Nikki Anderson, and this is Legacy Spotlight. See you next time.